Hey, what's up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of RTBP. I'm so glad you're here, and I wish you could see the erratic hand gestures and arm movements that I'm doing to get some enthusiasm in my voice. I don't know, like, is that a trick of the trade? I don't know, but I feel like sometimes when I record these intros, I sound like I don't want to be here, and I really do want to be here. So I do some pretty wild things, and I don't know, maybe this could be shown on a video podcast, possibly coming to a screen near you. Anyways, let's talk about today's episode. There is a few things that I want to update before we get to the show. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the Taylor Swift versus Swifties versus Ticketmaster scandal, controversy. I'm not really sure what to call it, but it was definitely a debacle. And 3 days ago, it was announced that 26 Swifties from across the US have filed a lawsuit against Ticketmaster. They said that Ticketmaster is a monopoly and that it's only interested in taking every dollar it can from a captive audience. And they say that the company intentionally and purposely misled Taylor Swift pre-sale ticket holders by providing codes to 1.4 million verified fans, in quotes, and millions of fans waited out to 8 hours and were unable to purchase tickets as a result of insufficient ticket releases. They are saying that Ticketmaster intentionally provided codes when it could not satisfy demands, which I think is like valid and true, and kind of honestly shocked that Taylor Swift almost didn't do this herself. Again, I guess it's a lot more political for her because they have such a monopoly on all of the big stadiums across the US that I feel like you have to manage like and have a good relationship with them. So yeah, weird businessy stuff going on, but I cannot wait to see what happens with this case, like if it gets picked up. And I don't know, I've been reading about all these like antitrust lawsuits in the States happening, and I think it's great because, you know, companies are truly the devil. So I'll keep you posted on where this lawsuit takes us. And then to talk about the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary or docuseries that's coming out soon. And we got a more in-depth trailer, and I'm a little worried after I saw the full trailer at this point. Just that, again, it's kind of repeating the story that we heard on the Oprah interview and possibly in the memoir coming up and in, you know, every fucking interview that these two have done in the last couple of years. So I'm a little nervy at, like, I don't know. For some reason, I have a bad feeling that people aren't going to come out of this doc with like more positive feelings about them. I kind of feel like people will either come out neutral or maybe even skew negative. So I'm nervous about that. But the exciting thing is we're definitely going to cover it on the podcast. I'm bringing back two of my faves, Ida and Zachary, who joined me to discuss the Oprah interview, I think 2 years ago, definitely in 2021. I think it was January 2021. So wild, but we're going to get the band back together because we are obviously, you know, the trio that talks about the royals on this podcast. And then the last thing is we do talk about the GMA cheating scandal on this episode. And since we recorded, they fucking, like, the network pulled TJ and Amy from the show, which I guess maybe they're just waiting till the story dies down, or maybe they're just doing behind the scenes work right now. But it is so wild because I feel like this would drive viewers to the show, and a lot of people are saying like, oh my god, ABC must hate ratings, because again, I feel like I would tune in to watch their dynamics and see if you can see any, like, were there any clues, or like how are they interacting, are they standing too close to each other, like I don't know, like that's the type of stuff that people like to watch. So it's so weird. I don't know. It wouldn't be my decision for sure. Okay. On this week's Patreon, I believe, I'm not like 100p, but I believe I'm going to be talking to Kenzie Cates, and we are going to talk about celebrity feuds where there are songs written about them. So like where there is a call and response. We did this with Taylor Swift, like a la, you know, John Mayer with Dear John, and paper doll. Like that's like an example. But there's so many more celebs that have done this, including like Britney Spears, Ed Sheeran, and Ellie Goulding, all of these people. So we're gonna dissect those lyrics and it's gonna be a really good time. I want to shout out Nikki. Honestly, both of these patrons have been here since day one, but Nikki W., she is a Sporty Spice fan who doesn't like sports, which I've been thinking about a lot nowadays. I feel like Sporty Spice in the 90s kind of got a little bit of flack for like, you know, what she wore and stuff like that. But now with the comeuppance of athleisure clothing, she honestly deserves like an apology because we are all wearing what she wore in the 90s. She was such a trailblazer. And then I just love, Nikki, your takes on Love is Blind and Winter House and Summer House and all of the funny things that you contribute to our Discord community. So thank you so much for being a Petty Betty. Corinna, again, a day one Petty Betty. We love to see it. I just want to say I appreciate you so much. It's been really fun on the Patreon Discord. Lately, we played Fuck, Marry, Kill with Taylor Swift songs that we think are going to be played in the Eras tour. We do a question of the day. It's pop culture related. So, you know, we debate our answers, you know, just send each other breaking news. So if you want to be a part of the Discord community, as well as listen to all of the RTBP Patreon episodes, you can go over to patreon.com/RTBP podcast. And for $5, you can join our Discord and listen to all the episodes. Okay, friends, I think it is finally time to get to the show. Here is my conversation with Alexandria. So I'm back with a very special guest, Alexandria from Pessimism at its finest. Alexandria, how are you?
I'm doing well, Torry. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here. It was a long fucking road to get to this podcast recording, but I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you once again for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your podcast?
So Pessimism at its finest originally started in, I think it was 2018. And I was actually just ranting about like things I was pessimistic about in life. And then when COVID hit, I wanted to talk about pop culture, what I was reading, TV shows. And I already had this podcast established. So I kind of just continue with it. So it's kind of, I tell people about my day, have interviews with my friends, talk about random topics, quite open concept. But if you enjoy like movie reviews and pop culture, listen to me.
Yeah, it is a perfect mix of like real life stuff and then also pop culture, which is what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the GMA cheating scandal, Jennifer Lopez's new music, the Harry and Meghan doc, and then Alexandria is going to nominate a Pettyweight Champion of the Week and share her This Week in Petty story. So the GMA cheating scandal, it's so funny because did you follow the Try Guys cheating scandal?
Yes and no. So they did a podcast episode where they basically said, I don't remember the exact name of the Try Guy, who he was not going to be there anymore.
Yes.
And I listened to that and they sounded very sad about the situation.
Like somber.
But no.
Yeah, so Ned cheated on his wife and it was like a huge shock. And their coworkers, like YouTubers all together, right?
Right.
And so this happened in September. And then this GMA cheating scandal broke this week where news anchors TJ Holmes and Amy, I should have looked up how you pronounce her last name, Robach?
It seems like Robach.
Robach got caught cheating together and having like this huge affair. But it's so funny because I was like so devo and I was like burn Ned at the stake, like all this stuff. But I'm like, I kind of ship TJ and Amy together. Like I see no qualms with that, with this relationship.
I feel that way too. The funny thing about this is I found out about it on Twitter and someone was like, there are 64 photos that confirm you having an affair. You cannot deny 64 photos.
Yes.
And I was like, this is insane. Someone was stalking them, watching them, like preparing a case.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think they're very cute together.
Me too.
I didn't think either one was married based on what I saw. But the whole thing is, how is this going to impact their jobs in the future? I never heard of them before this. Maybe it will help.
Yeah, literally though, because I had never heard of them. Like the only people I would know from GMA at this point are like Kathy Hoda and are they even? Yeah, they're on GMA. And then
Yeah.
Michael Strahan, I think. Like
For sure him.
Yeah. But like I don't know these people. They're on GMA 3. So I think it's like, you know how GMA runs for like literally 6 hours a day. It's like obviously one of the like sections. But yeah, so okay, this is so interesting. So basically what happened is they've been co-anchors for a really long time. They, for the TV show, were training for a marathon, the New York City Marathon, and documenting their journey together. So that started around March of this year. They've been separated from their spouses from August. So they're kind of saying now that it's like, oh, well, this just happened from August to November versus like we were like full out cheating. But yeah, the photos of them gallivanting around New York, I think is super sus because people have been kind of not posing but framing these pictures as paparazzi photos, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure literally like one of their spouses hired a private investigator.
I honestly, it looks like that. And I think it's Holmes' wife that did it. I have this feeling. I don't think it's Robatch's husband. It's rarely the husbands unless you like have a divorce thing and you want to get money.
Such a good point.
I usually, if it's like, and I could be completely wrong about this, like don't take what I'm saying as like, law, but I feel like it's Holmes' wife. And the reason I think that is that if you look on Twitter, a lot of the discourse is surrounding how she feels about this. Nobody's talking about how Amy's husband or ex-husband feels about this.
Right.
And so that's a part of the reason why I think it probably is her. And furthermore, he made a post about his wife, like how great she was. Something along the lines.
For their anniversary.
Yes. And so it seems as if like he was still pretending to be this loving husband in this marriage while Amy has no record of doing so in her marriage. So I would be completely blindsided if I was Holmes' wife. I would probably,
you're right.
I'd probably hire a PA too.
You're right. That's shady. Like that's fucking shady. But like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. And I don't excuse cheating in relationships at all. But like when they end up like actually being like, I don't know, for some reason, this just seems like love of their life shit. And like, yeah, they shouldn't have cheated on their spouses because yeah, I'm sure that that's what happened in reality. But like, I don't know, when that happens with couples and then they go on to like marry or like date for a really long time the like person they had the affair with, I'm like pass.
Another thing too, like if you think about it, who do you spend the most time in your life with outside of like your house? It's your coworkers.
Yeah.
So you get to know them so well and you're training for a marathon with them. They're both very attractive people.
Yeah.
So I understand how it could have happened. Is it right? No, we're not condoning it, but I understand it. But aesthetically, they are cute, but
so cute.
I ship it, but I shouldn't ship it.
100%. So I found this tweet, well, it went viral, but at Jace by Jason tweeted, "The Good Morning America cheating scandal is giving what a scandal needs to. High stakes, co-anchors on the most watched American newscast, audacity, 65 photos of broad daylight cheating, and evidence hiding in plain sight." The guy's anniversary post. So it is like where, and then his reply tweet was, "Unlike the Adam Levine cheating news, which had absolutely zero features of a good scandal, sleazy looking man cheats on wife with influencer he DM'd on Instagram. Okay, ... And it's like, exactly. Like,
I know. Adam Levine was a doozy. So
yeah. This broke on Thursday and then they were on air together on Friday and everyone was just like, jaws on the floor because you think that they would take some time off or whatever to hide from the scandal, but TJ was joking. He was like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to the weekend," and Amy was like, "Yeah, I really need like a long weekend or something like that," and I was like Okay.
I mean, keep it professional. I think when you hide from things as well, it makes you look worse.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they're like, you know what, we separated and we're just gonna keep going with this. We're confident in this. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yes, that's the other thing. They seem confident that this is like a real relationship versus like Ned or Adam, who just again look like kind of predatory men. Like
Absolutely. No, 100%. Adam's just, I can't. Ned, I'm still like a little foggy on the details, but I know it was like a obstruction of power or what do you call it? Incorrect use of power.
Yes. Yeah. Abuse of power. Yeah. Whatever.
Abuse of power.
Yeah. All of those work. Yeah.
Obstruction of power. What am I saying?
Same. Yeah. So I can't wait to just see how this story unfolds.
Same.
So Jennifer Lopez is releasing new music. She released a record, This Is Me, then in November 2002. 20 years later, I guess to this month, she announced that she is releasing This Is Me Now. She released the track list, including a song called Dear Ben Part 2, which is, again, tea because the first album had Dear Ben Part 1 when they were engaged the first time. What do you think of this new music? Like, will you be listening? Do you think it's just absolute like bullshit that she's just like, I don't know, redoing this same concept? Like, what do you think of it?
I want to preface this by saying before we get into anything, I'm very biased. Next to Tristan Thompson, Ben Affleck is my most hated celebrity.
Yeah. I get that. I fucking get that.
From I was a child, I never liked Ben Affleck. So this is going to be completely biased. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm excited for this new album. And I like the fact that she's, 20 years later going to name it this. I think it's a cool way to move forward. She's not the best singer. We all know this. We're not here for her singing top, but she has a few tunes and I will listen.
Me too.
Dear Ben 2, Part 2. Man, oh man alive. I have a lot to say. Okay. Is it a PR stunt? Yes and no. I think she's hinted or said in a few interviews that Ben Affleck's love of her life.
Yeah.
And that he's the man she always wanted and she's now with him and he looks miserable all the time, but that's just his face. So there's that. I think that if it's going to be a romantic song where she talks about like how they like got here today and they're in love, I think it's a beautiful conclusion to the love story. If he did something wrong and that's why she deleted all her Instagram photos, then we're going to have a little bit of a problem with the song. Is it a stable relationship? I don't think so.
Yeah. I know. That's the thing is like, I can't nail it down. Like, I just feel like everyone is either like black or white, where it's like, this is 100% full PR. Or they're like, this is, again, like you said, the love of her life, and this is like meant to be. Mm-hmm. I flip-flop every day on what side I'm on.
I have two thoughts to this.
Yeah.
I think for Ben, it started as PR, and I'll tell you why. Ben had the whole cheating scandal with Jennifer Garner and all those issues, the rehab. And he really needed to rehab his image. JLo was there, wanted him back desperately, and he went to her and he started to look good in the media's eyes again. And it put him back in that family man mode. If you listen to the way that JLo talks about the co-parenting relationship between Jen Gardner and Ben Affleck, you kind of hear positivity all the time. So I think initially for him, he's like, oh, I'm stable. I'm with Jennifer Lopez again. It's going to help my career. Where Lopez is concerned, I truly believe this was the love of her life and she was happy to be with him. I don't think that marriage is as happy as we think it is. JLo is very high maintenance and Ben Affleck is really not. And so I think that's going to drive him crazy at a point and they're going to have those conflicts. So that's my take on it. I don't think it's going to last forever and ever.
Yeah.
At all.
That's so interesting that you say that because I was watching the Kardashians and Pete Davidson when they were driving to the Met Gala and they're in the car together and Pete was like, okay, we just did the White House Correspondents' Dinner and now we're doing this. There's been so much prep, so much meetings, so many, whatever. This is exhausting. And Kim is like, oh, but I like do that every day. And then I was thinking about, I think it was one of the Kardashians and their spouses. And they were like, or maybe it was J-Lo. And they were just like, some of the men were just like, we don't want to do this like constant like events and like, and I just feel like that's Ben and Jen. Like Jennifer Lopez gives me Kim K vibes in her work ethic. Like I know she's like, get your ass up and work and stuff like that. But like the one thing that I really think Kim can get credit for is she is a really hard worker. And
she is.
I like think Jennifer Lopez is too. And I think like sometimes you have to find a partner that's equally wants to work like that, or it's not going to work. Because I gave examples of two men, but I'm sure it happens in other types of relationships too. But it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem balanced. Like one cares so much about like their public image and work and money, power. And then it seems like Pete and Ben just want to like, you know, party, live a good private life. I don't know.
Well, like, if you look at the reasons initially as to why Ben left Lopez for Garner back in the day, because it was a big thing.
Yeah.
And I was so obsessed with it. And I just want to preface this by the fact that I never thought Garner should have married Affleck, partially because I'm biased, but it was because he believed that Garner was like more ready to settle down and start a family, which is a very accurate assessment of the situation. And his mom apparently liked Garner better than Lopez, which I can see. So I think the entire time he wanted that like family life that settled down, and J-Lo is always go, go, go. And that's why I think like a Mark Anthony or even like a A-Rod was better for J-Lo.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Because, like, Pete didn't want to be on every red carpet, and neither does Ben. Like, Ben doesn't want to, like, put in 1,000 hours to put, like, the best Super Bowl performance on. Like, he wants to get his Dunkin' Donuts and, like, I don't know, do whatever the fuck he does. I don't know.
You know he can't eat that. Have you not noticed that since Ben has been with Lopez, he's in the best shape of his life? Have we not noticed that?
Yeah, and it's like haven't seen him doing like a Dunkin' run. Like they did one, but it was very PR-y. But like 100%, it's like she's not putting like cream, like coffee creamer in her body. Like
he's dying inside. Like he is miserable. And I know another thing too, at events, like he can't even like wear the happiness on his face, while A-Rod, even when they were having problems, looked like he was the happiest person in the entire world. And she needs someone like an A-Rod. She needs a publicity machine, not Affleck.
Yes, 100%. I can't even name, but like, okay, so then I was thinking like, okay, then who should Kim date next? Or like, who would be a better pairing for Jennifer Lopez? And I like literally actually can't think of it.
Oh my gosh. I want to say, you know what I've always wanted? Like this just to be a fling though, not like a full committed relationship. I would love to see Kim and Chris Evans, and I don't know why. Just for like 2 minutes. Like not to be together forever, but like, can you imagine them on a red carpet? Do you know how like iconic it would be? And it would be such a publicity stunt. Everyone would talk about it. I like that. I always think about that.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that for a long time.
But I don't want it to last though.
Yeah. I like Kim in her like dating era.
Yes.
So yeah.
I've given up on Chloe, but we'll see.
Yeah, so have I. Like dating life and otherwise. But yeah, okay, I'm really excited. The last thing I want to say about J-Lo's new music is the most popular song from the original album was Jenny from the Block, and we got that infamous Ben and Jen video, the yacht, the pink bikini, like all of that. So I'm just like I am very, again, excited for like the nostalgia and I don't know, more bangers and like, I don't know, maybe but like a throwback music video or whatever. I am the exact audience that they are trying to sell us to.
They need to redo that scene. They need to redo that yacht scene. I want to see it at like age 50. How does it look?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Oh, God. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for those reasons. So let's talk about Harry and Meghan. So it was just released that they are starring in a 6-episode Netflix documentary. It's going to include their wedding reception, a trip to Africa, which I was like, we could use some specifics here. Like, that's very general. And then Commonwealth Day and Meghan's pregnancy. Are you excited for this documentary?
Yes and no. They've kind of burnt me out. Harry and Meghan, a
Interesting.
little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah.
I have to be honest, like I was never a huge royal family fan, but the constant like Harry and Meghan has actually burnt me out from the royal family as a whole. So am I gonna watch it? Absolutely. But they had the like special with Oprah, they had the podcast, he had a show on like Apple TV, he has Spare. Like I'm like everything is Harry and Meghan on the news all the time. And the thing is, somebody said they're going to be the next like Michelle and Barack Obama. How?
Yeah, that's really a slight towards the Obamas.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
But like I get what people are saying. That's what they're probably like trying to emulate, but it's not
It's not giving.
No, it's really not working out for them. But I agree. Like I don't think I'll ever not be obsessed with Harry and Meghan. I just think just the whole storyline
Yes.
is so fascinating to me. You just again, like it was so historic, like Harry leaving the family, the working royals and stuff like that. But you're right. I think I'm nervous for them because they're already like controversial.
Yeah.
And I am nervous that they are going to do too much and people are going to stop being like on their side.
My whole thing too is that you keep selling me the same narrative repeatedly in 45 different ways. And what I want now is I want a clear understanding of what took place and then call it a day. And I think the reason why they're dancing around it is because they still want to have a relationship with the royal family. Obviously, it's his parents and his brother.
Yeah.
But like you've already left. They do not like you. Like just say what's good.
Yeah.
And like call it a day. They need to diversify their revenue streams, obviously, because like you can't keep selling me the same story for revenue. Meghan go, is Suits still on? Will Suits take her back? I don't know.
God, no, they fucking wrapped up that show, which was so good. They should have really, like, after Meghan left, her partner, like husband in the show, left too. Yeah. And it's kind of like when Christina Yang left Grey's Anatomy and now Meredith Grey is leaving. It's like, then just end the show. Like, it's weird when the show continues without the main characters. But yeah, Suits. She actually referenced Suits in one of the press interviews. She was saying like, well, I'm used to like being around cameras and stuff like that. It was so different for Harry when we were like recording this and stuff like that. So it's interesting. But I saw some stills of their like wedding reception and stuff, and like I'm just so excited. Like that is again so behind the scenes that we would have never got if they were still like working royals. So I'm very, very excited for some of it. But yeah, I am nervous that people are just gonna get tired of, like, I think that the royal family was in the wrong, Harry and Meghan were in the right, but for some reason the way that again, it's being sold to us, there's room, I feel like, for people to think otherwise. So I don't know. I'm nervous for them.
I'm going to, like, okay, this is going to be like a controversial take, but from the moment like Harry announced he was dating Meghan, I remember saying to my mom, this is going to be a disaster. And this is before they got married. And I was like, I don't know, this could be a mistake. Maybe like in 20 years it won't be, but that's what I always thought. The problem with Meghan, and it's not that she's like a fake person, but she doesn't come across in a way where you can read her. And because you can't read her, you assume that she is
fake. Yeah.
Right. And so Harry, you've always been able to read him. When you have that contrast, it's like Kellyanne Conway and her husband, right? Like you can't really read him. Like, are you like, where do you sit? But Kellyanne, you know what she's talking about. And I think that is kind of like where Harry and Meghan, I love how I use the Conways as an example, but like
so random, but I get it.
This is kind of like the way I feel about Harry and Meghan. I think if I could read her better, I would be able to understand, but it's also, she's been bashed so much. She's probably so like, cold to the media, cold to the public. It's just hard.
Yeah, on one hand, you're right. She comes off sometimes as inauthentic, but on the other hand, it's like, well, of course, she's been bashed so much. Why should she doesn't need to give us anything? But yeah, I saw a clip of her from an interview, and I think the interviewer asked, like, what are you watching on TV? And she was like, once Harry and I put the kids down, and then I do my daily Wordle, and then we peruse Netflix, like all of this stuff. And I was like, this seems like a canned answer that you like thought of like, oh, this seems relatable, so this is how I'll say it. But I'm like, but it seems rehearsed. And maybe that comes from her acting days. I don't know. But with all that being said, I still like them so much together. And like, I really like, they're super cute. And like, I feel like some of this stuff that, yeah, comes off as inauthentic is like protective. But yeah, it's been just an absolute whirlwind. So I'm just excited to see, because it really documents like from the wedding reception on is like when they left the family. So I hope we get the juice.
We'll see if we get it. I think that number one, the royal family is very much so in the wrong. And I think if they were a little bit more accommodating, Harry and Meghan would not have left.
Agreed.
And they would have had a beautiful marriage. Also, the media was very harsh to her. They were harsh to Kate initially as well, like bringing up like photos of her clubbing days, but they were very harsh to her. And what I was disappointed about is that Kate was not more of an ally to Meghan, as like,
yes,
that was a little bit odd to me. And I think that in everything, for some reason, even when they speak, they can't really touch Kate. And I don't know if there's like a clause in that or whatever not, but I think, in my honest opinion, I think more than Charles, is her name Camilla, his wife, Charles and Camilla, I think William and Kate are the problem.
That's so interesting.
I think they're the problem. I think they're bullies.
Yeah.
And mind you, Kate's gorgeous and can put on anything. But I think that they have more of a say and more power than we think. And I think that that caused the issues we see today. So if they can address that effectively, I'm going to be very interested in this Netflix show.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it anyway, but I would like to hear that from them.
Yeah. I know that's the thing that always makes me so sad, because when we saw like Kate, William, and Harry, and then Meghan joined, it was like, oh my God, the Fab Four, like this is so fun. This, yes, like the power these four could have. And like, you're right. Like, wouldn't she want an ally and a friend in Meghan? So why was she so horrendous? Like, was it because she was like, well, I was treated like this. This is just the way it is. Or like, I don't know what it was, but I'm sad about what could have been, because I think it could have been just so fun and stuff like that. But I do think that Kate has, a lot of control, or wants a lot of control. And I think she was honestly jealous because Meghan,
yes,
like Kate was kind of like her clothes and stuff like that were a little bit like dowdy, and like Meghan was so chic and like everyone loved her, and she was fun and charismatic and stuff like that. And I think Kate, just wasn't that. So,
well, Kate isn't that. And I don't want Kate to be that.
No,
I like Kate the way she is, but I think Kate was jealous of Meghan's popularity, especially in America, because in North America, we have to be upfront, Meghan was million eons more popular than Kate. And I'm gonna say something very maybe it's like, it'll be, I don't know how it'll be taken, but I think if they had embraced Meghan, they would have seen their reputation in the Caribbean and in Africa as a royal family completely flip, because the way they treated Meghan negatively has like a bunch of the Caribbean and African countries preparing to leave.
Yes.
And so they're getting booed everywhere they go. They were booed in Toronto the other day.
Yes. I saw that. Yeah.
So it's, if they had, Meghan is so popular in that respect that if they had embraced her, they would have a different outcome. I think that this negativity could be the downfall of the monarchy, in like some ways. I could, you know what, people like don't believe it could be. I have this feeling that William's going to be the last king. I don't know how it's sustainable.
I love this take. Like,
I don't know how it's sustainable after this.
100%.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I talk with a lot of my friends, like us being Canadian, like I thought with the death of the Queen, for some reason I just kind of thought we would leave the Commonwealth, but then we didn't like plan for that or anything. So like I agree that like it's outdated. We don't need I don't want to be a part of the Commonwealth. I don't want to be in a monarchy. Like I don't want any of that. And you're right, like the sentiment of a lot of people and a lot of countries. But that's interesting that you specify the Caribbean and African countries, because I was even just thinking their popularity in general, like in the world, because I think there's a lot of like abolitionists and stuff. So it's like, it is really interesting. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. But I just, think in general, those four could have, again, modernized the monarchy to a point where maybe people didn't want to leave it. But now people, I think will continue on this path of not wanting it and stuff. So
my last note on that though is we know Australia wants to go.
Yeah.
But so in our taxes, we do pay them annually, like $1 per person. And the benefit to being a part of the monarchy is if you want to travel to the UK, you don't need a visa. And so we have to look at that as a benefit. But the negative is, do they serve us? Does our dollar go a long way? Right? I mean, I can go to Tim Hortons for that.
Yeah.
So like, how far does it really go? And I think that those are questions that could be had, but you know, as you said, he's coming up with Spare, and we'll see if he addresses them. I know Charles said if he puts the book out, he can never come back for any reason. So we'll see what happens with Spare.
Yeah. My eye is like, I'm following this with everything in me, because it's just interesting because it's on such a public worldwide scale that I can't look away.
I'm going to read Spare. I have to see what he has to say. I have to see why Charles is up in arms.
Me too.
But I hope we get what the information we're looking for, and Harry can just live his best life, because I think Harry deserves happiness. I think he's been through a lot of trauma and pain and sadness, and Meghan's his sunshine and light and love, and I just want them to be left alone by the British media, and I just want them to be happy. That's all.
Agreed. And I think as people watch The Crown and stuff like that, they're seeing how this system and the firm and stuff like that have interfered with a lot of people's lives, like Harry and Diana and et cetera, and even made like Charles and William's life miserable at some point. So it's like, I think, I'm going to have like a highlighter, a pen. I'm going to be like basically like studying this book like I'm writing my thesis. Yeah. Okay, we are now at the part of the show where Alexandria is going to nominate a Pettyweight Champion of the Week, someone in the media who did something petty and it was iconic. Who are you nominating this week?
I don't know if it was iconic, but it was definitely petty.
Yes.
I'm going to nominate Jessie James Decker. And if you don't know who she is, you can go to Instagram. You can actually just type in her name in the search bar of Google. And if you want a more in-depth dive, I have to plug it.
Yes.
You can go to JJD and Family on Reddit, and you can actually find a whole bio of the just some of the things that she's done that have raised red flags in terms of business practices, if I can say that. But she is a country singer who I have seen live, and she's quite good. She's a fashion designer, controversial, but fashion designer for all intents and purposes, an author. The book was mediocre at best, and a housewife, which is also controversial since she's on vacation every month. And now the controversy of the week is that she posted a picture of her 3 children who are beautiful, and they're in athletics, so they have abs. And people thought, first of all, they were photoshopped, and they were like, it was a sign that she was pushing her kids to be like extra fit and unhealthy and whatever not. Mind you, the entire family is very fit. She's done many interviews where she talks about the way she feeds her children, and they eat high protein diets, plus they're in all these athletics. So to me, it's not like shocking that they have abs at that age. That was my whole thing. Now, The backlash was so great that she had to put out another video confirming that her children's abs were real. I don't think she needed to do that. I think that was a little bit too extensive. A bunch of celebrities like Kelly Rowland, Jordan Sparks, they basically like were saying, oh my God, we're so sorry this happened to you. We love you, your beautiful children. I'm like, don't give this gas. Don't like, just leave it.
Literally.
And then she took to her stories, basically posting pictures of her husband, Eric Decker, and basically being like, these abs are fake, pictures of him shirtless. And I'm like, that's petty. Now it's like, you're running with this. But then I wake up the next morning and the stories on TMZ, the stories on Fox News, the stories on GMA. And I felt that it's petty because she keeps posting about it, because it keeps her relevant, and like, leave it alone. But just say your piece, move on. We don't need to be having these conversations. And she does this all the time. But why are you using your children as the plot device?
Literally. So, okay, I don't think that they were photoshopped.
No.
Because I looked at the pictures and they look, and like, I feel like at this point I'm like a Photoshop connoisseur because, again, we follow the Kardashians. So I don't think they were Photoshopped. And I also, like, I don't know. I don't ever want to, well, I say this all the time because I'm like, I don't want to ever like judge people's parenting because I'm not a parent. Like,
right.
And we don't have the whole picture and stuff like that. And then I go on to judge their parenting. Like, I don't think it's absurd to think that kids can have abs because it's like, those kids are obviously like so thin that they like their muscles show through because they're youth. Like they're in their child bodies. Like, but like, then sometimes I do think about like just the extent that, so Eric Decker is in NFL and stuff like that. So I'm sure he's been like training like his whole life, and like just thinking about how you put your own shit on kids around like food and fitness and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that is sus. Maybe they are like pushing their kids too much. But then I also just think like when like I had a cousin who was in competitive gymnastics, and it's like, she had a 6-pack, but she wasn't over. I don't want to speak for her, but I don't think she was overtraining her body. She was just a competitive gymnast. Or like when I used to dance, there was dancers that had like super fit bodies that I don't think they were like training like an unhealthy amount or anything like that. But I don't know, who am I to say? But I was more worried about the tans on the kids. Like they need more sunscreen.
Well, as I said, like she said in many interviews, the family stops eating at 6 o'clock every day.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
They eat high protein diets. Her daughter's in competitive gymnastics. Her boys are both in like competitive sports. Yeah. But my whole thing is, you didn't have to do a video proving it.
Yeah.
Further.
And like analyze, like comparator pictures of your kids. Like that's fucking weird.
It's very weird. Yeah. And I thought that was, and then bringing your husband, she's very fit. The whole family's very fit. I appreciate that. I love it for them. But it was just a lot this week from her.
100%. I also think like, so these kids are like under the age of 10, but can you imagine in like 5-10 years, they're just like Googling themselves and then they see their mom's screenshots of their mom's Instagrams, like detailing their bodies to the fucking world. Like, I feel like that's weird. When they're going to get issues. Like,
I don't know. I feel like she just took it too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my whole, the picture was great. Just leave it. All she should do is edit the caption and be like, these are not Photoshopped. My kids are healthy. Leave me.
Yeah. Or not say anything. Just move on.
Yeah, just leave it.
Yeah. But that's another thing that I always think about, like Chrissy Teigen or like Kylie Jenner was like clapping back at TikTokers last week and stuff like that. I'm like, take your wealth and chill. Like, chill. Like, go do whatever. You don't need to clap back at the haters online. Like,
no,
like, I don't know. It annoys me so much.
JJD's known for that though.
Yeah.
And like, she'll like stretch it out. And the fact that this is still going on to like today, like as if December 4th we're here, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's time to stop.
100%. It is, she thrives off of these mini is it called like outrage media? I don't know what it is, but these mini controversies that won't get her canceled, but will have us specifically talking about her for weeks to come. And
that's what she does.
Yeah, and she thrives off of that. So
yeah, I know. Well, we'll see if she comes back to reality TV, which was her show was so curated. Yeah. We couldn't get anything from it.
Yeah. She's fascinating. I need to get on her like snark Reddit or like whatever it is, because like you mentioned, because I feel like she's a fun person to deep dive.
I've been there since the conception of it, and she is very fun to deep dive.
I love that. Okay, finally, it's time for This Week in Petty, where Alexandria is going to share a story about something that happened in real life that she's petty about. What are you petty about this week?
Well, just a few months back, like 2 months ago, I had a coworker who was just not doing their work. And they said to me, when the men in my family start to age poorly around 35. So I think I still have time. And I just looked at him because I was just being like petty Alex. I was like, you're being generous to yourself. And he just said, okay, picked up his drink and walked away. Because what do you say to that? But in my defense, when I first saw him, I thought he was like 41, and I came out to find that he's like in his early 30s. So I don't know if I'm wrong for that. I just think I was being petty because I was upset about something and not articulating it. But that's just my petty moment of the week.
I'm obsessed. Okay, so what was the context? Like, why did he say that?
I think somebody else was talking about how like they think they're aging and like they need Botox. And I was like, well, like my aunt who's like 70 something looks like she's 40. So I think I'll be fine. And then he's like, well, men in my family start to age poorly after 35. So I think so like whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, no, you are aging as a threat. like you're being very generous.
Oh my God, I'm dead. That's so fucking funny. How has it been since that? In the last couple months?
I've thrown a few more shots. Yeah. I think like he said it. He's like, how are you this confident? And I'm like, the question is, how do you get this confident? The answer is you never will be. So like, I just, whenever I'm like annoyed by a person, I just get like, I have these like little petty like shots I give to people.
I'm fucking obsessed. I love how you keep dunking on him. Also the audacity to be like, how do you get this confident? Fuck you. Like seriously.
Well, you know what? He never will be, and that's the answer.
Yeah, holy shit. I love that. Is that your, like way of dealing with annoying colleagues? I think I vary from like just ghosting people to like sending a strongly worded email. Yeah, I'm not usually like a clap back kind of girl, so.
No, if I'm upset with somebody, I don't yell. I don't go off. I'm a clap back person. I'll be like, I'll just clap back at everything. Like I'll be like, your food sucks. Like, even if like I just do it. Like that's just the way I deal with like upset. If it's too many in a row, I'm like upset with you.
That's so funny. That's so fucking funny. I love that. Well, keep us posted if there's any other things that you say to your coworker. I feel like this could be like an ongoing series on your podcast. Like
I should
make this a segment. I should. Like seriously. I would be tuning in, obviously. Okay, this was so much fun. I feel like we covered so much. Where can the listeners find you and anything else that you want to plug?
Okay, so I am Pessimism. Am I Pessimism? I'm Pessimism at its finest on Instagram. Oh my God, I don't know my Twitter, but I'm Pessimism at its finest on Instagram. I think I'm Pessimism Podcast on Twitter, but you can find the link to all my social medias from my Instagram and follow me there.
Yeah, and I will tag you so people can find you easily, but I think you are Pessimism Podcast.
I don't know my handle. Sorry.
No, you're all good. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Alexandria for joining me on today's episode. I kind of want to do stuff for the Hollies. So let me know, should we cover like a holiday movie? Should we talk about the best holiday music? Should we do holiday pet peeves? Let me know and I'll fit it into an upcoming episode. Okay, friends, I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I am ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.